sharing this with our members and also with 1623, who's been joining us. So just FYI, be mindful of your comments as they be aired in various places. But we're trying to get the word out here as to what's going on around Cape Ann, both from the municipal leaders as well as from our business folks who are on the line right now. So thanks again for joining us. This is our Thursday sharing session. It's a great opportunity just to see each other and stay in touch, and then to share what's going on around the community and within your businesses and organizations as you would like. This is meant to be a casual conversation, and my video is going to pop in and out as it just did, and so then I reset it and come back online. Let me start by introducing Tony Sapienza. He's our 2020 board president. Tony is co-owner of the Blue Shutters Beachside Inn. Tony, want to say a little introduction?
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I think I sound like a broken record every week. I say thank you for doing these calls, and so thank you for doing these calls. I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling a little bit more encouraged. Maybe it's the leaves in the trees and the flowers that are popping up and the better weather, but it's definitely the kind of conversations that we're having in sessions like this and in other sort of meetings that are happening throughout the weeks here. So I think it's really encouraging. I'm glad we got a handle on the technology as you can see here, because it's allowing us to keep these important conversations going. So thanks. I just want to call it, as I see a couple of board members on the call. Susan, of course, who is our first VP. I see Erica Brown from the Cricket. I see Christine Armstrong. Did I miss anybody else from the board? If I did, I apologize. Anyway, and also we do have a tourism council that meets every month. It's going to meet tomorrow, actually. So I see a couple of members of our tourism council on here: Cindy Henderson, Elizabeth Carey, Michelle, Kimberly Voltero. Thank you guys for joining. I think what the conversations that are happening around our visitor-based economy are really, really important. You've probably all heard about the effort that is happening as part of the reopening initiative. Elizabeth's driving that from a tourism perspective. We also, I know Michelle has done a lot of work to keep the dialogue going in Rockport, and Kimberly, I've been talking with her about an effort we call Cape Ann Tourism that's going to also kind of keep the conversations going among those of us who are involved in the tourism community here from a business perspective. So there's Caitlin presenting, but she just left. Hi, Caitlin. Goodbye, Caitlin. Another board member from Cape Ann Bowl. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with the important stuff here. Back to you, Ken. Thank you.
Tony, thanks so much. And thanks for all you're doing to support the chamber and the community. It truly is a unique time for us all. Just quick thank you also to my team. Peter Weber's on, our Senior Vice President. We have Olivia Perez-Odes, our Marketing Director, and Vince Minetti is working in, Olivia's membership, and Vince is working in marketing. So thank you to all for all that you are doing, especially in updating all of our members on the COVID situation with the multiple times a week newsletter, the website, and of course this Zoom information sharing session. So a couple of main objectives is again just to kind of casually see each other and catch up, and to hear from you all as to what's going on, and then from our municipal leaders, who we're actually going to start with as I restart my video here. I'm going to go ahead and mute you, and then and you're actually able to bring that back as you would like when you want to contribute to the conversation. And also, if you would like, please, in the chat screen on the bottom of your display, if you want to go ahead and just take a few seconds here to say who you are and where you're from, so we have a a record of that for future. From the chamber, we are now 2 months into working from home. I was mentioning earlier, I actually do go into the office once a week just to check on things and do a mail call. But we're really 100% focused on supporting you all through this incredibly challenging time. I think I don't have a lot more to add. One of the things that we're going to give you an update on is what's going on with the reopening aspects, as Tony was kind of mentioning earlier, in this Gloucester reopening task force, which I'm on and Elizabeth is on, and Sal, who's on the line here, is on. And I'm gonna ask Sal and Elizabeth to give updates on that, and then I'll chime in as I may have anything to add. So I'm gonna skip over that and just ask those guys to start off. So I think that's all I have to say for now. And I guess I'd turn it over to you, Sal, if you want to give an update as to what's going on in the city and the task force in particular.
Thank you, Ken. I actually see that the mayor has joined us. I'll defer to the mayor if she would like to say a few words. I know she's very busy. Mayor, do you have time to say a few words?
Hold on, I have like 3 Zooms going, but yes, I will. Hold on, let me check my other one. Sorry, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I figured I would do a sneak peek to see how we're all doing. I get my messages from Sal and Jill and Elizabeth, and I figured as we get closer, I need to know more of, what we expect and don't expect from the reopenings. And I'm hesitant because I'm hearing from other communities that they're going to close some of their beaches, and we're trying to think, do we close our beaches to non-residents and just leave it for Gloucester for a month, or do we cut it down and only have, like, instead of 400 parking for non-residents, have 100, because we want to show that we're opening. I need to hear from the businesses what they really would like. It's not all about business, it's about all of us, but the fact is, I don't want them to think that, we're turning away people too, as we do a small reopening and we do it in phases, and I'm sure we'll do pretty good. How's that going to look? I'm looking and I'm working with Sue Coviello on, block parties, but not block parties. Does that make sense? We're looking at some restaurants don't have a parking lot. Maybe I'm asking the city solicitor, the liquor licensing, and Bill Sanborn to look at a plan that we could do without have to going through the whole ordinance change and everything else, to do maybe weekend closures of Main Street, so we can have, more people sit outside and be able to entertain a little bit, but have the restaurants be able to come out and stores can be open if they want. And then naturally have like a block party, but not like, a huge one like we used to have, because there was too many people and there's no way they're going to be able to social distance. We'll work on that one. I don't see that happening anyways until July as far as block parties. All the events, as you know, including the bandstands on Sunday, have been canceled. So I don't know what other events are going to be happening. I know we're looking, Jill's looking, talking with the Riverfest people to do a different thing, like a drive-in or something. I'm not sure, but I know all the events until July 4th have been shut down. No fireworks, no Horribles parade, no blues concert. What else is happening and I don't know how the sidewalk bazaar, you'll have to look at a different venue on that one, on how you can do that. Depends what phase we're in. I really don't know. Like everyone else, I'm waiting for, the governor. We're all waiting. He's getting different, one day it's one thing, one day it's another. I'm very close with Dan, and Dan's going like, send me all your input. So if you have any concerns and you want the governor to hear it before Monday, please let Sal know, or Jill, and they'll get me these emails, and I will forward them to Dan and say, look, we need to look at that. I mean, he says, what would you like? If he says, if you had anything to open, what would you open? I said, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. I would want them all open. I don't know what I would do, but I said, so you got to do dog groomers, please, because the families and people who have service dogs are just, it's hard. So, but I said, you know what, I want to make sure that we have an opening, because my fear is this, people. just like in Naples, Florida, they open the beachhead to close it. I don't want to open something and then I don't have, the manpower or women power to close, enforce the beaches and then get to Lanesville to do the quarries and then get, to Magnolia and all of that. I just don't have it. It's going to be bad enough during traffic, but I don't want to shut the city down either because our COVID jumped. As far as numbers, people look at our numbers and it looks like, oh my God, they're going terrible. We're not. And the governor knows our numbers are really low. The reason why it's high is because of nursing homes, and we know that. But those are people who are unfortunately are confined. They're not going to be coming out. They're not going. So we don't have to worry about those numbers. And we explain the difference to the governor. They're saying that technically, if we have 30, then that's a lot. And most of them are recovered, and the ones who haven't are nursing homes. And we're working closely with them. So if you see, people are going to tell you, oh, we saw behind the Y, and thanks to the Y. They've been great with us, but we couldn't exist in your city and have these low numbers. And I know I got bashed today for not thanking the teachers. Well, that's great, but I'm talking about really, we could not succeed today in Gloucester, keeping these numbers low without our Board of Health and the nurses who came from this school side to do these tracing immediately. We did tracing, they didn't even know what the hell the word was. We just called people. We did that from day one. Even I was doing it when Karen couldn't. And action, taking charge of the homeless and, open door, make sure everyone had food in Lifebridge. I'm telling you, in the YMCA giving us a space, not one person. And they were tested again yesterday. That's why if people say, oh my God, they came to test people at Wellspring. No, just because we're trying to get in the phase of when we do start slowly opening, and they don't plan to come out in May. Unfortunately, we're trying to work something out with the Y to keep them isolated so we can slowly move forward. But you know what? We're doing an amazing job, all of you, your businesses. How do we convert? And I know you only said 2 minutes, and that's what your fault. Bro Star taught me, when you have a microphone, go with it. But the fact is, all the small businesses, we're trying to refit, trying to redo the local fresh. Even, Division Marine Fisheries did a video of how fresh our fish is, and our restaurants. And you know what? We still have a little bit more to shop local and do things locally. But the virtual and all the stuff that you're doing, keep it up, because it's just going to get better. And I really think that if we succeed at this and we're leaders, then we don't have to shut down again. Because a lot of the communities, I guarantee you, come July and August, if they don't pull it together, they'll have to shut down. And the governor has no problem with shutting those cities down himself. So if it's going to start spreading, because we really like to have a school in September. So
Thank you, Mayor.
We need to work together. Bye. I know what you're telling me. That's what you get for calling me. Bye. Be safe. I'm going to leave this now on mute, but I'm going to listen. Ciao.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your remarks, and thank you for everything you're doing to lead the city through this very challenging time. Sal, how about you? You want to give an update out of economic development and the task force?
Sure. The mayor did a great job on covering things with the entire city. I just have a few updates. Number one is we have 100 completed applications submitted for our small business grant program. So thank you to the chamber for helping us promote it. It's something that we all wanted to do whatever we could to continue to help businesses, not just with these grants, but with technical assistance, with working together in partnership with the chamber to get things going when we can. We have really good news out of the industrial park, where in the Gloucester Engineering Building, a company called Gloucester Bio is producing hand sanitizer. They're one of 3 or 4 companies in the park that have pivoted to respond to the PPE crisis. So the resiliency of Gloucester is showing, with companies that are changing things up to meet the demand. So we're really happy about that. And Ken had mentioned a reopening task force. So Ken and I co-chair the subcommittee for businesses. And as he mentioned, with Elizabeth doing tourism, Jill with doing events, the mayor overseeing the whole thing, with our health department, we're engaging with a lot of businesses. Our subcommittee is about 14 members strong. But what I wanted to say is, if each of you could give us just even a few sentences on what you would like to see with the opening, what you need from the city, please email reopening@gloucester-ma.gov, and I'll follow that up on the chat. But Ken and I are working hard to reach out to the leaders in the different industries to give us, maybe you have industry best practices for your particular business that you want to submit that you think would be helpful. Maybe you have questions on what you would need from the city, but we really want to hear from you. As the mayor said, this is a collaborative effort. We want the community to be safe. We want to work together, and we want to do this the right way. So any feedback is helpful. We're continuing to have meetings. The other point that I wanted to drive home, and I know most of you know this, that, there's a misconception out there, not only in our community, but throughout the Commonwealth, where the 18th is some magical day where people will be able to open. That's not the case. That's when the plan comes out. Mm-hmm. So we just want to drive that point home, that the 18th is not a day for businesses to open. It's a day when the plan will be released. And as the governor mentioned in the news, he's not leaking out any hints about the plan. But what I would say is, please give your feedback to Ken and myself, and we're working hard to try to get all the input. The business category is very general because it's everybody from applied material all the way to small businesses on Main Street, but we need that input to work together. We got to think creatively. Maybe you have an idea that you've seen work in another community, but we're happy to get that. But thank you. Thanks for your resiliency, and thank you, Ken, Peter, Tony, for your leadership from the chamber, as always.
Sal, thanks very much, and it's truly a pleasure to work with you and everybody else on the task force. And I do want to hear from a few people specifically first, but while we're talking about the task force, why don't we hear from you, Elizabeth, as you're leading a very important committee as well on that.
Sure, thanks, Ken. Thanks, everyone. Yes, I'm honored to have been selected to be the chairperson for the Tourism Task Force Committee. I'm delighted to tell you that I've got 23 people that have accepted my invitation to be part of the subcommittee, and they range from the boating industry to Main Street shops to many lodging facilities, restaurants. So it's a really great wide spectrum of tourism industry leaders. Just yesterday, so if you remember about Discover Gloucester and the Cape Ann Chamber have been doing roundtable conversations over the last couple of years. And we did one 2 weeks ago with the lodging community, even before this pandemic became such an important part of our lives. And so we had a lodging sector conversation, talking just about things that being prepared, collecting resources, finding, commonalities of things that people are experiencing, whether they're successes or fears or challenges. Yesterday, we had a sector that included attractions, art, and culture, and the contributions are terrific. People feel safe. We want to make sure that there's a comfort in everyone sharing. There's no silly question. And in fact, we don't have a lot of news yet, but we're leading that conversation so that we can feed back the information to the city and the task force to provide resources and information so we can craft the right policies and best practices for the city of Gloucester. So I'm honored to be there, be on the team. If you would like to be on the restaurant meeting today, it's at 2 o'clock, and the retail meeting tomorrow is at 11. Everyone is invited. And again, we're all sort of doing the same thing, which is just making certain that we're together, we're all in this together, and your voice is very well, we're interested in hearing your voices. So let me know if I can help.
Hi, Elizabeth, thank you so much.
Awesome, thanks very much, Elizabeth.
I have another Zoom meeting at 2 o'clock, but I would love to have been part of the restaurant conversation today. Can you sort of, if you discuss anything about Main Street or block parties or their reception to doing something different on July 18th? That's the first scheduled block party. And we haven't changed that date yet. Will you see sort of what folks are thinking about that and how that might look? and how receptive they would be to doing something outside. That'd be great.
I will certainly do that. And also, each of our meetings, we have great note takers that attend our meetings. Thank you, Kimberly. So we try to, if you don't, or you're not able to attend meetings, we have all those notes and the resources that go with it. So, and then
Great.
I'm also collecting a whole report for the city task force with those resources, where to buy masks, you know, what are the concerns, what are other states doing that can help lead our charge. So, you know, that's been a really helpful tool as well. So thanks for the time, and appreciate being on this call.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. And just kind of stepping back, big picture, that the task force has 7 or so subcommittees. And so you heard from Sal, he and I chair what's called the business subcommittee. Elizabeth chairs the tourism subcommittee. There's another one on restaurants, and that's chaired by Jim Destino. And so those 3 subcommittees basically comprise together the business community overall. And then there are other subcommittees that look at parks and rec, special portions of our population like our seniors and our youth. And so the task force is meeting once a week. We had our first meeting last week. Our next meeting is coming up in a couple of hours, I believe. And then the subcommittees meet outside of the task force and are trying to put together best practice. And Elizabeth has done a great job in meeting with categories of businesses within tourism, as an example, with these roundtables. And we're doing similar things in the other business segments. So as Sal and Elizabeth have said, if you have any questions or input into any aspect of the way businesses should reopen, please feed those to any of us, and we'll take those forward into the task force. A lot of what we're going to be doing is going to be dictated by what comes out of the governor's task force, and we'll all be better informed on that on Monday. And then we modify that, we customize it for Gloucester and share that with the broader Cape Ann. And so we're also in contact with the town administrators in particular from Manchester, Essex, and Rockport. And Michelle's on the line, and she's going to give us a Rockport update next. But realize this is meant not just to be a Gloucester plan, but we have to operate as a region, because what happens in Gloucester is certainly going to impact the other 3 communities and vice versa. So let's be working to the same plan. And so with that, I would turn this over to you, Michelle, if you'd like to give an update on Rockport.
So just keeping it real brief, I'm sure there's plenty of other things to talk about. Thanks for having me. Mitch sends his regards. He apologized he wasn't able to be on this meeting today. Rockport does have a reopening committee. The first meeting is going to be next week, in which we will be speaking of the specifics related to Rockport. And I'm sure at the level that's above me, up at Mitch and Jim and everyone, they can, I know that they're all working together for how to unite the Cape Ann area. So Mitch's one last pitch that he would just like everyone to remember to please order your PPE. I know that the mayor has shared information about getting shields. Elizabeth has great information about where to get masks. Yesterday in the conversation with Elizabeth, someone shared, a great resource for gloves. So thank you all for the great conversations and for sharing information. As Ken just said, we'll all get through this together.
Thank you, Michelle. So I don't think Greg Fetterspiel is on the line. Are you, Greg? No. And I will tell you that Brendan Zubricki sends his regrets. He's a town administrator for Essex, and he has another meeting at this time. His main input is that they are also looking at reopening plans, and I'm very interested in seeing what's going on in the other communities, and certainly wants to stay coordinated. Essex has a survey going out to the businesses. If any of you are from Essex and can take that survey, they would very much appreciate that, as we've been sharing it with our members in Essex. And so I think with that, that's a municipal update. Maria, are you still on the line? I saw you were with us. There you are. Would you like to unmute yourself and tell us what's going on with the state?
Good morning, Ken. Good morning, folks. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Ken, and Chamber team. So one thing that I did want to make everyone aware of, it's weird. I was trying to get this link up. It's a bizarre link. It's really long, and I just put it into the Zoom, into the chat. And what that is, it's the Unemployment Insurance Benefits and Returning to Work Guide for Workers. And I will also, there's also on that page, there's also a link for Guide to Employers. And so there's some really good information. It's very, the information is updated. It's very new info. So I thought that that would be helpful. And then wanted to mention that Ken and I are going to meet next week, and we're going to discuss some things that the state can do with the chamber that will be some, proactive, whether they're webinars or just information about here's some other things from the state for when we are ready to open back up. And so we'd love to hear from you. So there's some state programs that that I am happy. So I can easily, Ken and I can easily facilitate a webinar about some state programs, because these are all my colleagues. So I will say to them, I want you to talk to the Cape Ann Chamber for 20 minutes, on Thursday, and we can pull that together relatively easily. If it's something that is a federal program, I would not want to speak about that. I'm sure Ken doesn't want to either. I think we can easily, though, get someone from the federal government, someone that runs that program, to come speak directly to us. So if that's something that you're interested in, and rather than Ken and I try to say, well, here's what I think the members need. If you have some suggestions, either put them in the chat or talk to Ken or email me, however you want to do it. Typing my email into the so it's maria.g.dstefano@mass.gov. So rather than us saying we're the government, here's what we think you need, how about here's what we think we need, and how can the government help us figure that out? So just keep thinking about things like, did you pivot into doing something else? Did you take up another form of another revenue stream because you needed to, right? Do you want some help writing a business plan for that? Do you need some help financing that new stream? Do you want some help with a marketing plan? So it's not me and it's not Ken that's going to write the marketing plan. It's going to be you that writes it, but you're going to have assistance from a counselor, and that is going to be at no cost to you. Because the state funds it anyway, and you're funding it through your tax dollars. So none of this is anything that you need to pay for. And one more thing that I'm looking into, Ken, and I'll talk with you about it offline, is the tax, hang on a second. It was the employee retention credits, that if you weren't doing the PPP, then you could do the employee retention credits. And that was, and it's basically fully refundable tax credit for employers equal to 50% of qualified wages that, let me see, paid after March 12th and before January 2021. And so I'm going to look into that more. And I think that's something that we may need a CPA and maybe someone from the IRS to help explain that better to us, because again, that's not a state program, but I'm looking into that as well. That's what I have for right now.
Maria, thanks very much. And we're lucky to have you as a Rockporter, Cape Ann native.
Oh, can I also say thank you for thinking about this regionally, because that's exactly what we need to be doing, is we need to do
Maria.
A regional. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it from the state and municipal leaders, unless there's anything else from that perspective. So why don't we open this up to you all? Anybody want to give us an update as to what's going on in your business or organization before I call on some people? Rafi, you want to go? I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you guys hear Rafi?
No.
No, we're having trouble hearing you. No, I don't think your connection's going to be good enough. Sorry about that. I will say Rafi's got Defiant Sail Charters. He's a regular up here in the summer, and right now he's in Florida waiting for the weather to get a little warmer up here and open up for business. So he's anxiously looking forward to making the trip up north. Who else?
I'll say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Cindy Hendrickson, Cape Ann Foodie Tours, people that don't know me. I've been working with the other food tour operators around the area, Cape Cod, Portland, Maine, Newport, Boston, Bites of Boston. And it's really been quite interesting actually to get their ideas, and we've been kind of being creative and we're pretty excited at the groups that are extending. I had a group of 150 people, which sounds like a lot. It's not just food tours. We're doing other, lobstering tours and all that kind of stuff. But they're just like, they postponed until July of 21. So that was like, phew. But at the same time, I have so many groups that have been canceling. I just got 4 groups that canceled yesterday, for instance. So we're looking at doing groups in smaller areas and different types of Zoom meetings, which sounds crazy with food, but we're kind of coming up with a lot of different ideas. So I'll let you know more about that, because I think it's pretty interesting to try and, from a creative standpoint, to be trying to do something totally different involving food and all different types of foods. And so that's been good.
Thanks very much, Cindy. Who else? Edick, I haven't seen you in a little while. How you doing?
Oh.
Can you unmute your,
I can. Demonstrating that I'm a specialist in 19th century technology. Good morning, everybody. We're hanging in. We're very much in wait and see mode and assessing the viability of being able to cobble together any sort of season for the public or from an educational standpoint based on what the governor's recommendations are going to be and the easing of the guidelines. We are in a little bit of a unique position in that our seasonal staff, the crew for the vessel, comes from all over the country, and once they come from all over the country, we house them in really small quarters on the vessel. So the safety element has played the primary role in our assessment, first and foremost for crew and staff, but then secondarily, close second, of course, for students and the members of the public. And in our case, unlike some of the other vessels that do business in the harbor, ours is a question of scale. Some of the smaller vessels can make it work with, family parties of a half a dozen and go out with 12 or 15 people. And it doesn't become economically viable for us unless we can go out with larger groups than that. So we're doing our best to share information and history and engage our community online, but from an operations standpoint, we're very much assessing on a daily basis.
I understand. It's nice to see you again. How about Manchester? We have a couple of board members on here, Lisa and Erica. You guys have anything to update from Manchester?
Lisa, do you want to go?
Can't hear you, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Erica.
All right. For us, for the paper, I would just say that from an editorial, I'll do it from an editorial perspective. rather than from an advertising perspective, but from an editorial perspective, what we're doing is we're in the mode of transitioning to what, and this kind of is off of what Stefan just said, we're transitioning to what it's going to be like for the summer. I feel like people are moving, they're on the verge of feeling like once the governor comes out and we have this phased reentry, that they're going to know what the gig is and what the deal is. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of postponements of everything in Manchester. We just had a 375th anniversary. The town is celebrating its 375th birthday this year. So quite a year. I mean, so we had planned things, events every month to have this, to mark the milestone. So all of those things have been kind of pushed. It's almost bottlenecked to the fall, late summer, early fall.
Mm-hmm.
So we're beginning to try to find creative ways to express and have event-like markings for this celebration that don't necessarily involve events and gatherings. So that's our challenge. But in terms of the paper itself, what we're doing is we're looking for what is the rhythm of the summer going to be for our coverage. Typically what we'd be doing now would be event-oriented things and lifestyle, getting out and about is sort of the features that we'd be doing for the summer. We'd be looking for Memorial Day and July 4th and all those things. What we're doing right now is we're trying to hedge where we're going and doing features on things like, what are the things we can do outside? Boating might be one of those activities, not necessarily for large groups, as Stefan just said, but boating in general, I think, is going to be something that people are going to be interested in doing and reading about. Fishing to some degree. So golfing is something that we're going to have a feature on that in a couple of weeks. Jason Brisboe is going to do a piece on Cape Ann golfing and sort of the whole area. So that's the lifestyle-oriented stuff we're going to be doing. In terms of businesses, though, having coverage on businesses and how they're going to operate and what are the rules of engagement over the next couple of months is a big thing for us. So we're going to be interested in covering how are people connecting and reaching out to customers now, and in ways that keep that relationship going and are going to build towards more and more over time, which is where everyone's going.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Thanks very much, Eric.
and that's a blend of Manchester and us.
Yeah. Sure appreciate everything you're doing with the paper. That's the cricket for any of you who may be wondering. Lisa, you want to give us an update? What's happening with you?
Sure. For those who don't know, I'm a one-person sole proprietorship. I run an interior design firm, Bonneville Design in Manchester, and my clients are, I'm staying in close touch with my clients throughout this pandemic. A lot of them had projects in the queue in many different levels, cabinetry, workrooms, design. And so they're waiting to find out when those businesses will start up again, and that will be entirely up to those businesses and also the employees that work for them, how they're going to phase back in. And everyone's waiting for the governor to give us some direction too, because we want to stay safe. That's number one. So I just talk to my clients. I've got one client underway. I'm happy to have a cabinet maker who works on his own site, and so it makes it very convenient. He doesn't have to worry about bringing a crew together. But I think that mainly this particular week was a real turn in people's anxiety levels. They've really reached a place where enough, it's like really hard. It's really become hard, very difficult psychologically and emotionally. So one thing about getting out, Erica was talking about focusing on featuring on getting out and about, and people are a bit stir crazy. And now that the weather is going to be improving and warming up, outdoor projects are starting on buildings. People are bringing teams in that are getting work done on their properties. longevity bench project that I started a couple years ago is planning a wonderful event that we had to move from May to October, and it's going to be specifically focused on celebrating getting outside at that time of year, and in family units, and because I think people will still be very, very careful even come fall with this pandemic, worried about the next phase of it that we've all been told about. So we're putting on a bench-to-bench walk for longevity on October 10th. So that's going to bring out hopefully a lot of people. We'll have a cookout, and there are a number of organizations involved in town. We're starting a bench buddy program with partnering with the Council on Aging to help people who maybe are elderly and don't have someone to walk with, yet they really want to get out and take a walk, but they don't feel safe or comfortable walking on their own. So we're launching that, and we're excited and hope that it all happens the way we plan. But back to my clients, it really is such an individual thing. You can put a crew together, and everybody has their own levels of comfort that will get them back to work or not get them back to work. And we don't even know when they're all going to get back functioning the way they once did. So putting that together, how to function from now on, even if we all can decide to go back to work and be with each other with masks on 6 feet apart. I've done some of that. I actually had a site meeting yesterday with 6 people, and that was, I have to say, a little nerve-wracking, but we needed to do it. In my field, you have to see things. You have to see the natural light, the available light in a certain location. You can't pick colors in a room that's not going to have the same light. Anyway, that's just an example, but I think it's becoming more stressful for people. I think the level of stress is elevated.
Yeah, certainly agree. And we've done the same thing over at the new site over at Harbor Loop. Numerous site visits there, just being as separate and safe as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. Hey, Christine, haven't seen you in a while. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys too.
How you doing?
You know, I'm having my own business. I have a branding and marketing company in the comfort of my own home. So I have to say things have been sometimes challenging, but for the most part, knock on wood, things are just kind of rolling along. So just trying to keep yourself, as Lisa said, trying to keep yourself sane and trying to pivot on the different, you know, the idea of messaging around this or communications around this. So I do a lot of work for Cape Ann Savings Bank. And I was on a Zoom meeting yesterday for the library and seeing their challenges as they reopen, trying to figure out how they can have curbside delivery, but still have their computer center open, and what does that look like? So I just see a lot of creative thinking and a lot of people being really resilient and you know, stubborn about getting through this. So I think, you know, I've seen a lot of great things out of this.
Yeah. As have we all. Thank you so much for sharing. Who else? Anybody else want to tell us what's going on? Eileen, what's happening?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Eileen from Missawood Events at Endicott College. I actually wanted to talk more of our particular department. For those who don't know, we're basically a hospitality entity within the college. So like many of you in the hospitality industry, we're doing a lot of pivoting. We are currently working with wedding clients who have had to postpone, reschedule their weddings. The resurgence is making many of them nervous. So some were shifting to August. A lot of them are shifting to 2021. We're also finding that we're doing the same thing with our programs that are residential overnight programs. A lot of our sports camps are either starting to cancel, which is unfortunate, or as many that are canceling, I guess, the other half of them are really waiting from the Board of Health of Beverly, because if you are running a sports camp, as I'm sure maybe you don't know, sorry, you need an actual license that is issued by the city public health. So right now the Board of Public Health is not even touching that because of everything that's going on with COVID-19. So some of the pivoting that we've done is some of our day programs that we're coming and utilizing our classrooms to run like financial seminars. We've been working with them to provide them the opportunity for our Zoom platform. And one of our clients has been really pleased because they were able to continue with providing their service, but they didn't have to do the expanse. So we're wondering if that might be something that we could actually be able to assist people moving forward. And they just spoke to my wedding coordinator this morning, and one of the things that we're finding is weddings are so personal, and you know, you've planned it for a year, some of them 2 years, and if the government can't have you come together, we are coming up with an opportunity for them to not have a full wedding ceremony, but more or less kind of like an elopement, sort of exchanging of vows, so that working with the CDC and Mass state guidelines, being able to maybe bring, you know, 8 of themselves and 6 of their guests together on the back lawn of Missawood with their officiant and our function manager. We're still at a cap of 10 people, everyone wearing masks, but still being able to sort of have that, you know, beautiful ocean view and still feel like they're still having their same original wedding date for their exchange and a wedding vow. So that's something that we've been doing with our current clients, sort of as a value added. And we've had, I don't know if they're telling people or just people in general reaching out to us, but we've had a few couples that have sort of reached out to us just saying, is there any way, we just want to be married. You know, we don't want to necessarily do it virtually, and we don't really, you know, don't want to do the whole city hall thing, going into so on and so forth. So we're actually looking at it as a possible opportunity that we could allow wedding couples or couples to come exchange their wedding vows for 2 hours at the Missawood lawn, take some photographs, and then they feel like they have been officially married, and then it's up to them if they want to have a big party next year or whatever. So that is interesting. That's sort of developed organically over the last week. So that's kind of what we're doing, a lot of that sort of, what can we do to make people still feel like they're getting what they need, and still make sure that we're being safe about it. So, but, but thank you. And this is wonderful having these opportunities to just see everyone in the community, and you know, it's a better sense of knowing you're definitely not in it alone. I know we know that, but sometimes it's nice to kind of get it heard as well. So I appreciate the chamber giving us this opportunity. So thank you, Ken, and everyone.
Well, thank you, Eileen. We actually know some people that have had a virtual wedding. Somebody on our team.
Oh, cool.
Last weekend, yeah, went pretty well. No
Awesome.
celebration, just a service.
Yeah,
But,
thank you.
Who else?
Who got married? Ken, who got married on the team?
Karen had somebody in her family.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
very nice. How about Chris Bolzan? You want to give us an update on GMGI? What's happening there?
Sure, not a lot to report since the last time I jumped on, but thanks to all of you who shared our virtual info session for the Academy. We are still actively recruiting Academy students. I have seen posts on Instagram from some of the seniors graduating from Gloucester High School saying that they're joining the Academy in the fall, and people were celebrating that. The problem is we haven't gotten applications from these folks. So if you know people who are talking about it, we do think this is a great option, especially if people are thinking about holding off on going to college in the fall. So if you know folks who are interested, please send them our way. We are in the depths of scenario planning for what the fall will look like, and obviously we're waiting to take the lead from the governor and from other education institutions. But I've been talking to all my friends and peers and colleagues at other schools, colleges, vocational schools, and so we already wear PPE. We already have a lot of safety protocols at the Academy. So we are definitely going to seat a class this fall. If you know folks who want to apply, please send them my way or John Doyle's way. And we've made that virtual info session available as a link. It's on all of our social media and our website. So please spread the word. We do have our scientists returning to the lab this week. They're going in one at a time. So there's only one person in the building at a time. And next week, as the restrictions start to lighten a bit, We'll have people probably 2 or 3 at a time in the building, but all about 20 feet apart. And again, all wearing PPE. That's how we operate in the lab anyway. So we need to get back to doing the business of science and getting our scientists back creating more data to analyze. They've been doing a lot of interesting work and applying for grants and sending publications. We got some really good news on both those fronts this week, but doing the best that we can. Everybody's still working full-time remotely, and we're so grateful for all the support I've been hearing. Last time I got off the Zoom, I heard from so many of you, and people were sending us potential applicants and other people to reach out to, and this is such an incredible community, and we're so grateful to be a part of it.
Indeed it is. And thank you, Christine, for all you're doing to help us out with that. You bring a whole new dimension to this community. We really appreciate it.
It's such a great place to be. So thanks, Ken, for all that you're doing.
Any news on the upstairs tenant that you can share?
So we do know that they have certificate for occupancy, but they're waiting for a certificate regarding some of the scientific and marine equipment they have up there, and it's been delayed because of the lockdown to get the right inspectors in. But they are still operating out of Cambridge. They've hired full-time one of our academy students. They're interviewing 2 others so that some Gloucester residents can be working out of that lab as soon as the as soon as they're able to, and as soon as they have all the final approvals. So things are going great on that front, and they're going to be wonderful neighbors for all of us.
Indeed. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Of course. Thank you.
Who else? Anybody else want to share?
Can I update before I have to go put her down for a nap?
You'll have to introduce your little partner there first.
This is my boss, Ava. She's a tiny tyrant. So I just wanted to kind of I'm Caitlin from Cape Ann Lanes, but also one of the co-chairs of the Next Gen committee for the Cape Ann Chamber. And we have started to have, our committee has started to have Zoom meetings. So we're trying to figure out now how to pivot and try and help some of the members in our committee, our next generation business members. It's been it's tough on everyone, but the majority of us have little ones at home. So whether they're babies and we're trying to entertain them during Zoom calls, or homeschooling, or all of those things, every different situation has a different challenge. But so we've been a little slow to move on that, but we're starting to figure that out now that we kind of know our new normal. There was also 4 of us out on some kind of maternity or paternity leave because Cape Ann's Next Gen has now had a Next Gen. So we're trying to do that. So we'll keep everyone updated on that one. If we have any creative ways to try and help those businesses. From the Cape Ann Lanes perspective, we have been closed for quite a while now. We tried the takeout thing, but it was not safe for our employees. Our kitchen was very small in the beginning. We did everything we could, but it was just not worth it in the grand scheme, pros and cons. We are, however, hopefully going to be launching our curbside beer within the next month because, as you know, we just recently put in a brewery, but we were supposed to have our grand opening May 2nd. So that obviously didn't happen. But we're in the works to try and get something going. Bowling is a winter sport and is also social and recreational. And so we have absolutely no clue what that's going to entail for us in the scheme of actually reopening the business, which is a little terrifying, especially since we just underwent a pretty big renovation. But we're doing what we can. Luckily, our national group, the BPAA, is really proactive and has been amazing about sending out resources. They're actually accessible for anyone to view. So it's I think it's bpaa.com, but there's some really great stuff for all hospitality and attraction guidelines. I'm sure it can convert, so I'll actually post that in the group. It's just some of the things that you wouldn't necessarily think of, with how much your customers touch and interact with your staff and all of that. So we've been trying to keep updated with that, and I have been sharing that with the local committee. I'm actually on Elizabeth's task force subcommittee. And I've also sent those to Karen and Carol. So after the last call I was on for this, but we're just kind of playing it by ear and trying to figure out how we can help the community as well as keep our team safe and keep our business going. So
a lot to juggle, and I'm sure you're watching other alleys as they are opening up around the country and how they're doing it.
yeah, there's actually the president-elect of BPAA was on ABC nationally yesterday, so talking about that, and he ironically can't even open his own business because he's in California, but he was talking about how Georgia has been implementing that because they were actually one of the first industries to be able to open, which was funny, good for the business, I guess, and kind of a test run for the rest of us, but seems to have been to be going well because we already have quite a bit of sanitation in place that people probably would never have thought of, but we clean and sanitize almost all of our equipment daily. And then once flu season starts, we actually usually do it almost between every customer. And then with COVID, before we had to close, we were doing it like almost constantly. We actually had Facebook reviews about how well we were doing that. So it was kind of became our new normal before we were forced to close. So we luckily had put some procedures in place already. So when we reopen it, hopefully won't be as much of a shock. It'll kind of be just continuing what we were doing. But, we'll have to space lanes. We'll have to obviously be at a lower capacity. Just kind of how it's going to end up going. But.
Exactly. Well, if there's anything we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. And I have to jump off to go put her to bed.
Totally understand. It's been an hour. Would anybody else like to share as our last update here? And if not,
I'd just like to wish everybody well.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, same. We really do. It's as you were saying, Lisa. This is now that we're in the second full month of this, is such a trying time, and hopefully things are going to start to change here safely as we open up slowly, and the weather gets nicer. But boy, it's been really challenging. And thank you all for your incredible support. And together we will get through this. We'll see you again next Thursday at this time and sooner. If you'd like, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Have a great day, everyone, and a great weekend. Thank you.